Okay, looks like I didn't quite manage to do it, and this game is going to be 40 clips long. I had to split the raw footage for this bit partway through to avoid it breaking the half-hour long mark. I hope nobody minds that I'm going to end this clip just before the boss fight begins. Still, this is the final bit of raw footage I have to work with in this game. The end is painfully close. Right, nothing to scan for that energy field we need to go through in order to get to the final area. Huh. Oddly disappointed that we didn't get some kind of screen showing Samus getting teleported. Granted, I've fast-forwarded through all of that in Metroid Dread, but still, since we had so many little cutscenes of us going through an elevator in this game, it wouldn't really be all that out of place to have something similar for the only teleport point in the game. Anyway, looks like we have a new hazardous material. Something that looks very much like Phazon, just a different color. And now I have to wonder why the game bothered to give us a suit that's explicitly meant to prevent us from being damaged by Phazon, if they were just going to give us a more extreme version of Phazon that will never again be seen in the series as far as I remember. Okay, so we've got a Phazon version of the parasites we saw back at the start of the game. Part of me wants to feel surprised that there aren't even more versions of those smaller swarmers, but the other can't help wondering why they even bothered having 3 different versions of the little bastards when they're all just as fragile and they all injure us by suiciding against us. Well, at the very least, these caverns have a more distinctive look to them. The spiky growths from the walls, the rocks with so many cracks in them. It would probably have a much bigger impact to me if we hadn't gotten so used to the lava section of this planet fairly early on. Okay, so they've made a more dangerous form of Metroid that just happens to share the same physical shape as the usual babies that scare the crap out of me in most Metroid games. And they appear to be color-coded for what specific type of weapon can actually hurt them. Bloody hell! They certainly didn't waste any time making the trip to the final boss feel annoying as hell. As if the fight against Ridley just before we got down here wasn't rough enough. I honestly would have preferred to have seen more of this style of challenge before we got to the final area, though. It would have helped to prevent me from feeling like I may as well have walked through quite a large section of the middle of the game. So the fact that they are concentrating it in this small area, I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't lose more health there, considering how badly I was dealing with those Metroids. But we're probably gonna have to deal with quite a number of those mutated bastards on our way to the final boss. Right. Of course, missiles are completely useless against them when they split apart, because the single best way to prevent them from latching onto us is apparently too easy, and we need some extra challenge this far into the game. I'd probably feel more annoyed by that if it wasn't for the fact that we haven't gone with a lot of challenge for all too many of the 39 clips we've gone through so far. And of course another one shows up. Was trying to keep a wall of some kind between me and it, and the bastard proved to be far more mobile than I am. Not really a surprise, but kind of felt worth a little chuckle there. Yeah, The terrain just doesn't feel like it works to our advantage against these bastards. Though you'd think that this far into the game that I'd be much better at dodging attacks than I was at the start. Apparently not. I'm just far too reliant on how durable we are this far into the game. Definitely not encouraging considering how close we came to dying at the end of the previous boss fight, even with the occasional healing item over the course of it. But then, even less encouraging is the fact that when I had the controller in my hands, I somehow didn't grasp that a white/ray inside of the Metroid means shoot it with the ice beam, and a purple one shoot wave beam. I would have thought that the multicolored armors of the pirates we ran into before now would have been good practice for this sort of thing. And great. Now it looks like we're jumping onto some massive teeth to get where we want to go. Definitely feels like they did a good job of making this section of the game look special, that's for sure. I'm not too sure about the feel of it, though, considering what we're dealing with. Oh, that spiteful little prick. Not letting me exit the room that easily, huh? For God's sakes, we were so painfully close to the end of the game, just let me move on! Look, I get that this room looks nice, but I really want to get a move on and meet the final boss, instead of fighting I don't know how many more of this specific kind of Metroid in this one large room. Oh, come on, how are we supposed to avoid that? Well, at least I managed to avoid that one. I suppose that's something better than just standing around and taking every attack. And of course, I managed to get caught just after patting myself on the back for dodging an earlier attack from the same damn creature. Well, I'm assuming there are no more Metroids that will show up out of nowhere. We should be good. Son of a bitch! Are they really just going to infinitely spawn in this room, or is there some limit to how many that are gonna come in here? This is just getting ridiculous! Mostly because I'm so damn impatient to move on and finish this damn game. For God's sakes! It feels like the Metroids change their attack just for the sake of being more annoying when we're trying to climb in here. They just get all too concerned with knocking me down. I definitely wasn't expecting this room to be such a grind. Again, this isn't really making me all that confident for when we face the final boss, even if this game hasn't done a great job of building anticipation for it. Again, it's probably incredibly unfair to compare this game with Metroid Fusion and Dread. In terms of making you feel eager to face specific foes, this game does as good a job as Zero Mission, both versions of Metroid 2 and Super Metroid. It's not that they tripped over themselves in one part of the formula or something. It's that a 2D game in the same series that was released in the same year added something to the formula that I liked, and I did that and the most recent title before coming around to this one. I am not holding this game's lack of build-up for anyone in particular against it, though I kind of want to hold the decision to make combat like this in this specific room against the game designers. I mean, come on! Haven't we gone through more than enough padding so far? And I finally make it through the door, and this door is a dead end. Not something that actually leads to the final chamber. Oh, for fuck's sake. I don't want more missiles right now, I just want to move on to the final boss chamber, since it's so damn close to where we are right now. Oh, god damn it, just let me be done with this room and move on. The pacing of this game is more than bad enough without including this little slowdown. And why the hell didn't I just fast forward through this run? If I had, then I could have actually made this the last clip and been done with this game just a little bit sooner. Yeah, I guess I was just too damn shocked that this game wanted to stall things out like this, after all the other stalling we've gone through. And of course there are even more, because the damn things are just gonna keep on coming to wear us down, even though none of them drop any healing items whatsoever. You've got to be fucking kidding me. They just do not stop coming, and frankly fighting these things this way is not fun. Oh, how was I even supposed to prevent that from happening? We're certainly going to be starting the fight against the final boss a lot more worn down than I was expecting. I just hope that the final boss is actually going to feel fun instead of feeling like a cheap way to slow it down further, like these bastards are. Though I'm also hoping it's going to be at least a little easier to deal with than Ridley, since there's no way if I have to try again that I'm going to be able to avoid getting worn down just getting out of this room, considering how the enemies keep on spawning, with no sign of letting up in here, and refuse to let us move forward. Now, I wouldn't quite say that this room highlights all the worst things in this game. It's certainly not highlighting the best of it, that's for sure. The appearance of the terrain certainly implies this is going to be an epic finish, but the rather annoying fighting we have to go through just to get through the next major door is not promising in any definition of the phrase. For fuck's sake, just let me go. How the hell did I not remember this room being such a pain in the ass between the goddamn Ridley fight and the battle against the Metroid Prime? I would have thought that bad design like this would stick out in my memory. We're finally out of the room. Excuse me while I give myself a bit of a break after the metric ton of bullshit before we finish this thing.